Very well done.
So what I'm going to show you, Mark, is the apparently lost cartoon, uh, Accordion Joe.
Great. Yeah, I
Um,
haven't seen this in years.
Now, just some background. Why do people say it's a lost cartoon?
I think that they're a little inaccurate. It's not that so much that it's lost; it's just that it's under distributed. And I think the main reason for that is that Betty is not the featured character in it. It's a Bimbo cartoon, and Bimbo doesn't have the cachet in reissue that Betty Boop does. She's been the most popular character for a long time since the early 70s. So she gets a lot of notice and Bimbo doesn't. So, I think there's at least one or two other titles. Is it Teacher's Pest is one of them, and there's one other one where Bimbo's featured that just don't get distributed much anymore.
Yeah, if we notice on this cartoon, I'll just skip ahead. I'm just going to show a little bit of the images of it. This
Okay,
is one of the versions of Bimbo. I've seen this version. It looks like the same one from Teacher's Pest with the little hat,
right.
as you can see here.
Yeah, that's some of Grimm's stuff there.
Um, and in terms of Betty, there is a version of her, well,
Yeah,
pre.
that's the Dangerous Nan McGrew one.
Looks like she's been working out.
Yeah,
Look at those muscles.
yeah, she's kind of strong up top. She has that upper body strength we all hear about, and a huge head. Wow, it looks like the cacti is somewhat checking her out there.
And was this before Bum Bandit or after?
I think it's before. I think wasn't Bum Bandit later? I think it was 1931,
Let's check it
and
out.
this is 1930. I'm pretty sure that's true.
Yeah, Bum Bandit is 31, and I
That's
believe
what
Accordion Joe is 30.
that's what I thought. But it's been so long since I've seen this, I forgot it had a girl character in it.
So,
This may have been on television in St. Louis when I was a little kid because they ran a lot of the Fleischer stuff then.
so this is one of the. Uh, so there, I just want to give people some context too, because I did notice towards the end of it, because it features Native Americans.
Uh huh.
There's imagery of a swastika, a couple of them actually,
Right,
but
which was actually a Navajo symbol, and it's backwards. Usually, it's not in the same direction that it was in Nazi Germany. It's definitely a swastika, but it's in the opposite direction, and it's used in a lot of Indian decoration. Going back to gosh, probably the 17th century for all I know. Might even be before that. They were using it many years before before Hitler's Germany got a hold of it.
and on the title card, I see it says animated by Ted Sears and Grim Natwick.
Right.
Um, I've seen Ted Sears' name quite a few times, but he's not really one of the, the names that's really mentioned a lot when I hear Fleischer. But what's his background? What do you know about Ted Sears?
Well, later on, after he worked at Fleischer, he worked at Disney for a long time, and did story there. He didn't do much animation at Disney, but he was a top story man on mostly the short subjects, the Mickeys and the silly symphonies and things like that. I don't know if he worked on Snow White or not. He might have, but yeah, he did a lot of work at Disney. I don't know what he did after that. I don't know if he went to Warner Brothers or where he, I can't think of right off the top of my head as to exactly where he went after that. But everybody just go on your cartoon database and check it out.
Look him up.
Yeah, I don't know if he was like some of the other storymen like Warren Foster and oh, I can't think of all the storymen at Warner's tonight. But some of them, I don't know if Warren Foster did voices, but there was uh, some other Warner voicemen that did voices for Warner's. And I can't remember if Ted Sears joined in on that or not.
So I'll go ahead and play the cartoon. Yeah, a fan reached out to us and said, "Hey, I hear this is a lost cartoon. I have a copy of it. It's going vinegar. Would you like to scan it?" So that's how we got a hold of this, and so we really appreciate that
Well, that was
fan.
very, very good hearted of that collector to do that.
So I'm gonna go ahead and play Accordion Joe for you.
Oh, great. Wonderful. Are you going to blow it up? I can do that, right? I
Yeah,
can just enlarge it myself. Okay. I have no enlarged it. I'm fine.
click on full screen. You should be fine.
Okay. I'm on there. So it looks like Grimm's animation to me. Yep, that's Grimm's. And this is one of his scenes too. That's great. All Grimm's animation. And the whole plane comes apart. They gave him the whole first part of the cartoon to do. Now, this is somebody else's stuff. Don't know if it's Ted Sears or not. This animation isn't nearly as flowing as Grimm's. It's got a lot of holds in it, almost like a pose reel. It just kind of moves from one pose to the next. And you're right, Betty is. If this is supposed to be Betty, she's really built. That's back to Grimm's again. It's all Grimm's animation there. Not in the close-ups. Yeah, that's all somebody else's stuff there. Da, 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 da. That's a theme that's been used. I don't know who composed that theme, but it's been used for many Indian cartoons, Indian pictures. Interesting bimbo there. Wow. I love that last scene.
So when Grimm
You still
would,
there?
yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
So when Grimm would work on the cartoon, um, on this, he would do all of this himself. He wouldn't have like an assistant do in betweens or anything like that. It would all be him.
Uh, I of course I wasn't there at the time, but I think Grimm did tend to work straight ahead in the 1920s and early 1930s. Of course, Grimm's background was with the Hearst International Studio. He worked on Judge Rummy cartoons. He even worked a little on Mutt and Jeff. He worked on a lot of different things. But and then when he went with the Fleischers, then he stuck completely with them for a couple of years. I'm not sure if he started with the Fleischers in the silent days, but he was certainly with them by 1930 when he was doing these sound cartoons. This is shortly before he joined Of Iworks, on the Flip the Frog series. But this is not his work here. I don't know whose this is. Wow, it's what we call American primitive. It's very primitive looking cartooning, and that's a little bit better. Has a little bit more line weight to it. I don't know who did this. Maybe Ted Sears did these scenes. I'm not sure. I love that scene there. I don't know who did that. It's not Grimm's, but has some nice drawing in it. It might have been it might be Doc Crandall, but it looks a little bit too controlled for him. Doc was kind of a rough and ready cartoonist on his own. That's I don't know who did her in here. This animation is almost limited animation. It's very pose to pose, and it really holds for a long time on the poses. So somebody was ahead of their time. They were doing limited stuff in 1930. Yeah, you can kind of see that. And this stuff too has that pose to pose look. And whenever she hits a pose, she blinks her eyes. Yeah, I really like that little Indian princess design in this. It's very unusual. And I think it's not Mae Questel doing the voice here, but it maybe it's Little Ann Little or one of the other boopers that did voice work for Fleischer.
I think it's Bonnie.
Oh, Bonnie Poe. Well, it certainly could be her, because she was doing the voices pretty early on, wasn't she? And I wonder who's doing Bimbo's voice. I don't know if it's Johnny Murray or, you know, the real early voice. I think it was Johnny Murray or, the really early voice guy that did a ton of Fleischer stuff and also was a recording star for Victor and Columbia and other labels going back to the teens. Yeah, that's terrific shot. Because that one really has more of a Betty feeling, doesn't it, in the drawing, the last scene. It's a very different it's a completely different model than the early Indian princess in this. They didn't care much about model consistency in these. It was whatever the animator felt like drawing. Probably Dave just handed it out to him and says, yeah, we got to have this finished by next week, you know? So don't worry about the model. Just draw her any way that's comfortable for you. like this one. Again, it's a tremendous head size. Her body is very diminutive here. It is very, and here, like Bimbo's head is smaller and his butt is a lot bigger than the way Grimm drew him. This was not the first Bimbo cartoon, though, was it? There was a couple of them earlier even than this one.
Yeah, this wasn't the first one.
Do you remember what the first one was off the top of your head?
I don't.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly which was the first one today. It wasn't the Mailman, was it? That's another early one that's very rare. That one doesn't show, and I don't think Betty's in that one at all. The Mailman.
I think that one, yeah. I remember the little gag where there's like I think a homeless guy living in one of the mailboxes, which is really funny. No, yeah, that's a great one. Here, speaking of, let me see if I have it here.
Oh boy, now there's a rare one. 20 Legs Under the Sea. I don't know if I've ever seen that one. Hey, that's my old boss, Mauricio, Tom Bonfiglio. I worked for him in St. Louis.
Oh wow!
When I was just a kid, and he had changed his name to Goodson by that time. Actually, his wife suggested that he change his name because it's an Italian name, and she thought that's too complicated a name to be on a marquee or credit. So he changed it to Goodson. And I think it was Tom Goodson by the time he animated at Disney in 32 or 33. I think it was 33. He worked on Father Noah's Ark at Disney. I've forgotten whether that was 33 or 34, but that's an early color Silly Symphony. He animated a lot of the animal action in that. But Tom was quite a great guy, and he trained me to do in-betweens for him in St. Louis. He was working for an educational films company, and he taught me after school. I would go over there after school, and I'd work into the evening, and he would train me to draw hands and fingers and faces and all that kind of stuff. Very patient person, you know.
Yeah, I've never seen his name on these cartoons. So.
I think he's on at least one or two other credits too. But yeah, he worked for Fleischer for a while. I don't know if he worked on Coco's or not. I'd forgotten, but I know he worked on these early talk cartoons. But wow, that's I wonderful. I didn't know you had this cartoon. This is a real treat to see this. Now here's the white Bimbo. That's a pretty nice looking drawing there.
My bonny lies over the ocean. My bonny lies over the sea. Oh, my bonny lies over the ocean. Oh, oh, bring back my bonny to me.
Wow.
Hey, Mac, how do you get this hook on?
Lobster.
Hey, hey, make way, we say, make way.
We're the king's bodyguards, left, right, bodyguards. Merrily we step along.
Left, right, left, right.
We are top, show it up. Left, right, show it up. We're set up, we scare ourselves.
Left, right, left, right.
See our swords, mighty swords. Feast your eyes and look at the maidens.
We're the king's bodyguards, left, right, bodyguards.
We're set up, we scare ourselves. Left, right, attention, halt.
Left, 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 right, left. Left my wife and 15 herrings. Left, 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 right, left. The king!
Instead of Betty like mermaids.
Come on over to Maggie's.
We're going over to Maggie's. La 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 la. Hoochie coochie 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 coo. Oh, why are we going to Maggie's? For no good reason at all.
Wait till they find out.
Come on!
Wow.
Hootenanny, hootenanny, hootenanny me.
Hootenanny, hootenanny, hootenanny you.
Hootenanny me.
Hootenanny you.
It's getting chilly out. Oh, that's better.
Come on to Maggie's! What? Oh.
Don't do it.
For no good reason at all.
Woo. That's pretty gruesome. Yeah, I just remember I do have a print of that one. I think there's another one I'm confusing that with.
So that's I really like that version of Bimbo. I've seen him before with his top hat and his cigar, and
Yes. Yeah, he is an interesting little character there. You can see his face better and everything. I'm just checking my want list here a second to see which of these talk cartoons that I've never seen or I'm missing. A whole lot of screen songs. Oh, okay. Marriage Wows. That's a really rare one. The original version of it. And the Ace of Spades. That's one. Oh, see, I confuse 20 Legs Under the Sea with In the Shade of the Old Apple Sauce, which is from 1931. That's never turned up. Talk about a lost cartoon. That would just never appear. But Accordion Joe, as we've seen this evening, does exist. Marriage Wows and Ace of Spades are kind of rare, but In the Shade of the Old Applesauce, never seen it.
now
So
are they good though? Because I keep hearing it's lost, 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 and obviously there's all this hype around stuff like
right.
that. But then when
Yeah,
you
I don't
see
know
it,
if I don't know if it's really lost or not. Wait, oh, okay, I just blew it back up again. It's interesting too. On my computer, I don't know if it looks like this on yours. There seems to be it's skipping frames. It doesn't show every frame, especially on this cartoon, and I think a little bit on Accordion Joe. It skipped some, so I don't know if it's because of the method of transmission we're using or what it is, but it's not quite as smooth as I've seen it, projected, things like that.
yeah, I have to. That's why I was encoding some cartoons because when I upload them on YouTube, they're like 2K files, and when I play them back, it kind of chugs along. So I next time I'll shrink
It
them
may
down
be,
so they play better.
yeah, maybe cutting out just a few frames, but I mean, you can follow it and it looks okay, but I can see that there's some stuff missing here. It's interesting. Like the ending of 20 Legs Under the Sea is a lot like that Mutt and Jeff cartoon, where they where they turn the dogs into sausages, things like that. It has that kind of a feel to it.
I'll save two other bimbos for you later. I have Up to Mars and
Up
Teacher's
to Mars is
Pest.
yeah, teacher. You have Teacher's Pest?
Yeah.
Gosh, I haven't seen that one in a long time.
I also have the Herring Murder Case with
Uh
Bimbo,
huh.
and that's the Bimbo that I think they settled with, the classic Bimbo that's
Yeah,
on all
yeah.
the merchandise.
They stayed on with him pretty well. Except, and then they every once in a while they do a weird one like hide and seek. Where it's sort of like Bimbo, but it's sort of not. He's a kind of a strange looking dog in that with a kind of like not a riding cap, but a sports cap on. Yeah, kind of a plaid cap. It's a strange looking character. Have you seen Hide and Seek?
No, I can't recall.
Yeah, you ought to check that one out. That's a really oddball Fleischer cartoon. A lot of it takes place in a mountain, uh, and I think at one point the characters get baked in an oven. I think Bimbo and his, I don't know if it's the female. There's a female character in it that doesn't look much like Betty, but I think at least one or two of them get baked in an oven. It's pretty strange.